Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan.
Hey y'all, it's your boy Rick McLaren, as you know it. Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. Every Wednesday, we are producing this show. We are on Facebook Live. We are on Mix Station Radio, Mix Station Live app, iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and Apple Podcasts, all under Mix Station Radio. Listen, guys, before we're just Facebook Live, but you heard all the other stations that we're on. We need you all to tune in. Thank you.
Courage and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom.
Strength, courage, and wisdom is a motivational moment designed to equip you and empower you with the necessary fundamentals and strategies to take your business to the next level. Every Wednesday morning at morning.
Good morning, everybody. How you doing? This is Strength, Courage, and Wisdom. Every Wednesday at roughly 10 o'clock, I am telling you we got a special show today. So listen, guys, as you guys know, I ask you every time, if you're tuning in, please share this with somebody. Please call somebody, tell somebody to tune into the show. April's the month of motivation. We want to talk about getting motivated, staying motivated, figure out how to get out of this pandemic, figuring out how to get out of this racial upheaval, figure out how to decide to go vaccine, no vaccine, and get you ready to move forward, get this train moving down the track again, getting back to some kind of normalcy. So listen, as you guys, hey Karen, hey Simone, hey Sonia, hey Martine, hey everybody. Listen, thank you for joining. Please share this with somebody. As you guys know, I always start off my show with my sponsors. It's so important that I recognize my sponsors. Au Pair Law, Clay over at Au Pair Law. You'll see all their links and information after the show. MGM Haberdashery, Marcus McAllister. Cash Land, John Cash, my main man. Cigar Diva, my girl Tracy. She's doing a big thing over there with the cigars for the ladies and for the men. Sterling and Associates, home improvement, things of that nature. My man at Prominent Home Inspection and Prominent Sanitation Cleaning, Chris Colbert, man. Listen, the guy is doing it real big. So if you need your house or your office or your new building, your office complex to be clean, sprayed, all that kind of stuff, Chris can do that for you. I am empowered by Iana. She writes books for people in 90 days. She can have your book up and running. Food for Thought, my man Damon Hughes. He's a caterer. Please utilize him when you can. Lisa's Luxury Consignment Shop. Lisa's Luxury Consignment Shop. You guys got to reach out to Lisa. Please support her. Electric Butterfly. She's my holistic girl. She's got the sea moss, the black soap, the black seed oil, all that kind of stuff, man. She's got all the good stuff for you. Lila Fragrances. You guys told she got men and women fragrances. She's got some great smells, man, some great scents. We need you guys to support her. And my last young lady is Ballet Nouveau. She's a new sponsor. I'll be pumping her up all month. If your kids want to get into any kind of dancing, any kind of ballet, get some structure, get some focus in their lives, I am here to tell you that that program is powerful. So we're asking all you guys to please support my sponsors. And of course, my music was done by Marcus Evans. Victoria, my man Marcus is tough, man. Good music, good writer, does flyers, does music, does it all. So please support all of my sponsors if you can. Thank you. So listen, today's show, Marcus, you got to turn your mic off, Marcus. So thank you guys all. Thank you all. So today, I have a real special guest, man. I met him probably about 3 months ago. And 3 or 4 months ago, and we had a great conversation on the phone. I got introduced to him by a good friend of mine by the name of Denise Salisbury, and we haven't been able to connect much since. But this day, I knew this month I was going to probably have him on as a guest, and I really appreciated him actually joining me at the last minute to come and be a special guest on my show. But I got a gentleman who's an author. I got a guy who's an entrepreneur. I got a guy who has mentored many of young men and some women in his lifetime, 25 years of doing so, has his own fatherhood program. I have a guy who is a father himself. He's a public speaker. He's a motivational speaker. I call him Dr. Ken Waller. His name is Mr. Ken Waller. How you doing, Mr. Waller? How are you, sir?
I'm doing fantastic. Rich, I really appreciate you having me on today, brother. It's certainly a pleasure. So I would say it's not last minute, it's actually on time. So I'm pleased to be here. I'm glad I could, join you today. And, it is about motivation. It's what I believe in. It's what I try to live my life by. And again, I'm just so happy to be here and that you chose me to be on your show today. So again, thank you.
Thank you, Ken. So as you might know, Ken, and you don't know, but you've seen my show before, I always start off with a scripture. I always believe that scripture is fundamentally foundational, and I always do so. So I'm going to read from Psalms 28, 7 and 9. And this is all about motivation. And I think God in this story is telling them, if we trust him, that he will help us get through some things. So they say, hear thee, O Lord, and be merciful to me. O Lord, be my help. You turn my wailing into dancing. You remove my sackcloth and clothe me with joy, that my heart may sing to you and not be silent. Wow. So he's basically saying, if you get motivated about me, I will turn your sad days into happy days. If you get motivated about me, I will change your whole attitude, your whole life, and even the way you dress. And he says, I will make you sing instead of being silent. I make you speak instead of being silent. What do you say about that scripture, Ken?
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And, again, those are some of the things that, of course, God wants us to do. And a lot of times we lose faith on the things that are most certainly important. There's always, I always say things are conditioned. A lot of times people take scripture and they don't realize that that scripture actually has a associated part that you need to do. So again, I just thank you for that scripture. And I do believe wholeheartedly that what we hear and what we do is going to be, and our action is going to be based on those things and what we hear and what we do. Absolutely.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it, man. You've been mentoring a long time, so I know you've seen a lot. You've heard a lot of the sob stories, the sad stories, the good stories, and the bad stories. I would like to know, what do you think, or how would you approach motivating, I'm going to say first, young people, young men right now? How do you get them to make those steps to where you need them to go?
Rich, it's kind of interesting that you would, even start off with the young men, because that's very important to me. I've been coaching youth football for probably over 30 years or so. And one thing that I try to realize in doing just mentoring in general, but especially with our young Black males, is that they have to identify things other than sports. They have to start identifying things that are way bigger than they can even imagine. So the motivation comes from having them to identify what will make them different. Even with my own sons, I have 2 sons, so I can really identify exactly where some of these young guys are. And I believe what happens is, first and foremost, it needs to come from home. Even though I've been mentoring for a lengthy period of time, my first mentoring is to my own kids. And a lot of brothers got to remember that. We fail to realize that, our kids pretty much will emulate what they see, what they're around, and the things that they, inspire to do. You have so many kids out here, want to be basketball players and rappers and all those things, which are fine. However, the numbers are so few. I have a situation, I have a term that I use in regards to that, is change your focus, change your mind, change your ways, change your habits, and watch yourself flourish. I had a situation, I was speaking at a school up in Newark, New Jersey, a couple of years ago. And out of a class of probably about 200 kids, I pulled most of the males to one side of the auditorium, and I asked them, what do you want to be when you get old? You know, that's the old cliche that everybody have a tendency to ask us. However, most of the hands went up. You know, I want to be a basketball player. I want to be a football player. I want to be this rapper. I want to make these millions of dollars. I want to do all those things. So my answer to most of those kids were, okay, you want to make millions of dollars. You want to be a football player. You want to be a basketball player. Do you know how much time that takes for that to develop? And they go like, yeah. And I said, you know, what about getting a decent education? What about honing in on your craft? And what about you being a guy that will pay these guys hundreds of millions of dollars? So they didn't get it at first. I said, you want to make millions of dollars? I said, how would you like to be the guy that pays you those millions of dollars? And then it registered. So it's about changing that mind and changing that focus, man. And, you know, just to segue into another instance that I've been exposed to is that I was volunteering at the Department of Juvenile Services behind the locked doors, where there's no cameras, no phones, no newspaper, none of those things. And I had an opportunity to interact with these young men. And what I found most of all that was so important, that I found, of course, was that they look for us. And when I say us, I mean our Black men. They look for us to encourage them. Nice words. You have to say things to them that make sense, because they already know what's going on out in those streets. And just to keep it real, I was out there in those streets, so I understand. However, you got to be able to take what you have, your experiences, and parlay it to them, because if they can recognize with you, they'll listen. So I think that's so important that we understand that, you know, our young Black men need more than just being arrested, incarcerated. They need more than just, okay, getting beat over the head about getting this excellent grade, going to college. Going to college is fine. Don't get me wrong. However, we need to understand that college may not be for everybody. So we have to start parlaying all that information into what they're good at. You may have some kids that's good at building houses. I mean, good at fixing tires, whatever. But you have to encourage them to do those things, because if we don't, we're going to have a cycle of deep depression. And like I always say to the kids that I mentor, you guys are our future, which means if you're our future, personally, I don't want to ride on the back of the bus again. So if you don't do what you need to do by representing us in a way that's going to elevate us consistently, then we may be faced with that fact.
You said a mouthful there, man. You said a mouthful. That one saying you said earlier in your presentation, I would like you to say that one more again. The first phrase that you tell your mentors.
Oh, I tell them that, you know, in order to be able to do and be successful, you have to change your mind, change your thinking, change your ways, and change your attitude.
Absolutely.
Those are the major things. Now, Rick, I may not have said it the right way, the same way the first time, but all those contents are actually what needs to happen prior to being successful. We all had to do it.
Absolutely. So last week I was on the show, and and I'm being totally transparent. I was talking about myself, and I think this show really helps me deal with things I'm dealing with as well. Me being an adult, dealing with the pandemic, dealing with isolation, dealing with racism, dealing with if I take the vaccine, don't take the vaccine, dealing with virtual interaction versus human interaction. And you tend to get a little, no other word but depressed. There's no other word to say about it, right? Loss of motivation. But now you start to see the doors opening a little bit. You see a little light at the end of the tunnel. And I thought this month of April, since everything kind of loosened up in February and March, April's a time where everybody got to start getting their engine going again. They have to start getting that motivation back, getting that inspiration, getting that push, that pull, whatever it is that you need to get going. So I say that to say, what do you say to people? You know, I know you run across this from young and adults, where they're in a funk. They can't get out of their own way right now because they're stuck. And I'll tell you, last week I shared a couple things real quick. I think the biggest thing was for me was a distraction, and the distractions was my phone and social media. I said self-discipline is definitely a big one. And I am very disciplined, but I can tell you this right now. I have been unfocused and not disciplined over the last 12, 14 months as maybe as I should have been. I talked about multitasking. As I get older, I understand now I cannot do as many tasks concurrently as I used to because nothing really gets done. There's a lot of movement, a lot of action. And then lastly, not least, is taking care of myself. And then asking myself, why am I doing those things before that? Why am I doing it? And I always had a why. My why is my daughter. And my why is want to see her get married, and want to see my grandkids, want to be around. So that's one of my biggest whys, right? So what do you say to that to young, not even a young black man, but just a black man, period? Could you mentor a lot of people? You take them from when they're a grasshopper all the way to they're grown. How do you keep them, in line? How do you keep them going?
Well, it's funny you mentioned it, and I'll start with the latter piece of that, Rich. As you well know, both of us are IT professionals or retired IT professionals, whatever you want to say. And, media is very important to us. Technology is very important to us. However, the major thing that and advice that I can give anybody, and I have to take my own medicines, just to be honest. Every so often you have to disconnect. Yes. Nobody wants to hear that, but you have to disconnect. There's been time, Rich, I'm not sure if you've done it before, where I've left my phone at the house, went to the store and said, you know what, I might need to go back. Lately, I've been saying, if that phone is home, it's staying home. I'm not going to pick it up. I've taken my laptop, hold it at night, don't even touch it. I take my phone on the other side of the room, don't touch it. So I think the technology has us in this thing to where as though that's basically, which lead me on to my next point, is that, the pandemic is here. A lot of us had situations where we had to, rely heavily on this communication piece. However, that communication piece now has a tendency to gravitate to where as though it's our only way of communicating with everybody, just that part alone. But I will share with you, we need to get out, take a walk, go over to, I'm not sure where everybody may be, go to your park, take a walk. Get outside 30 minutes at least. And you have to identify the fact that sedentary life, and then everybody now calling it the COVID pounds or whatever they call it, the COVID pounds, but there's no such thing. I mean, you have to have start having better eating habits. You have to start, picking up that word. Everybody say, the word is there. And everybody may not pick it up, but I do. So you pick that word up, you start to identify some of those things that are challenging you every day. Because any answer we need is, of course, going to be in the word. Absolutely. But we have to change our thinking all the time. You're going to hear me use that a lot because I believe in Romans 12, chapter 2, because we have to be transformed. We have to transform our thinking. A lot of times we don't. We start to do everything that everybody else does all the time. And I'm sometimes guilty of it myself. So we have to really start moving, getting away, unplug. It's okay to miss a call. It's okay, because I always say if somebody wants me bad enough, they'll keep calling. If it's an emergency, they'll keep calling. However, if it's a real emergency, they should be calling 911, not calling me. So again, it's just your way of thinking, the way you're looking at life, man. Get out, get some air. It's been nice these last couple of days. I'm not sure if anybody have any type of ailments, but I could even touch on that part. I was very ill back in 2019. They didn't expect me to even live. So right now is a blessing for me to be here. That story's coming soon, so everybody hear that whole case. But what I'm saying in regards to health, Rich, you talked about it earlier. You mentioned the fact that, our health-wise, especially men, we don't understand the importance of health. Everything is a Band-Aid. If our stomach aches, what we do? Go get a Rolaids. If our knees are bothering us, what we do? Put some heat on it. If your back is bothering you, what you do? Man, I just put that heat pad, I'll lay on that for a couple of days. However, we don't really identify that the insurance that we're spending, health insurance that we're spending, we need to utilize it. Again, I was that guy. Something ailed me. I was like, I ain't going to the doctor. I ain't calling the doctor. All they're going to do is tell me something bad. Guess what? If you wait, they are going to tell you something bad. But it's called preventive maintenance. You have to go to that doctor. You got to go to the dentist. You have to get your eyes checked. Do it. Do it. And most of the men that are out there right now, I can guarantee you, your wives or your significant others always try to tell you, go to the doctor. You feeling bad? Go to the doctor. They do. I don't know a woman that doesn't go to all of their appointments. We don't. And I wished, and I'm really saying this to everybody listening, I wish that I had knew more about my own personal condition until the last minute.
Wow. Wow, that's powerful, Ken. That is powerful, powerful, powerful. So in this content of motivation and getting and staying motivated. So it's one thing to get your train going, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's another one to stay on the track, right? Because you can either stop or you can go too fast. What are some of the tactics you utilize with young men and men, period? Because not only young men, even women, anybody, any human being, to keep them on the track. What words, what scripture, what tactics do you have to keep them focused and on the track to keep moving in the right direction?
Mm-hmm. Just to go back with the scripture real quick again, the Romans 12 chapter 2. We have to be transformed. You have to transform your mind, man. You got to transform your thinking, because we get so locked into thinking that, okay, this is the only way I'm gonna be able to function. If I'm not in this maze, and Rich, you can't see me right now, but I got 3 monitors on my desk. Mm-hmm. But I can only see one at a time. So if people identify that fact that you can't be everywhere for everybody all the time, and I'm going to share something with everybody out there as well. When you tell everybody that you work from home, they feel like you don't have anything to do. So all their issues, all their errands become yours. Ooh. So it's okay to say no sometimes. That's the biggest challenge that we have, because we're pleasing people. Most of us are, we love our people. We love our family. However, we need to start to identify that self-love is the biggest thing we can have. I got a case in point for you. When you get on a plane and that steward is standing in the middle of the lane, in the middle of the aisle, and the first thing she tells you about the oxygen mask, what does she say? Put yours on first. That way you can help somebody else. Wow. So that's what you have to do. You have to identify what makes you happy. You have to identify or get something. I mean, I don't care what it is. If you want to go outside and, I don't know, play in the dirt, do flowers, because I got a black thumb, I don't have a green one. But maybe you want to start doing that. You have to get something that you really enjoy doing. And it may not be what everybody's doing, and stick with it. You got to stick with it. Well, I'll say it like this, Richard. You have to stick with it long enough until you see a change.
Wow. Right now, I want to say a couple things to a couple of viewers. I want to say, hey, Simone, hey, Kate, my mom, Karen, Martine, Denise is on, man. Lucia, Ellis, Joy, Lisa Shannon from Lisa's Luxury Consignment Shop. Of course, she's going to be on. Raymond's on. Isker Hill. Hey, Isker, how are you, man? I haven't seen you in a while. And Shanda Panda. How you doing, Shanda? How you guys doing? Listen, tag somebody, share this video with somebody, because we are trying to help me. My whole mission for this show is to help one person see a different way. When they were going to go left, now they're going to go right. When they get depressed, they might think of something that either I or Ken said, and they might uplift themselves and move forward. That is my whole objective, along with me learning something during my conversations with guests like Ken today. So Ken, as you know, one of the things that's coming out of this pandemic is depression. We know it's coming. It was here before the pandemic, and now it's even worse. It's going to be worse later on. I think it's got like a tide on the boat. The boat rides here, but the wake goes on for miles and miles. And this is going to happen for years, I think, where we're going to be in a major depression mode, where people have been locked in their homes. People haven't had a lot of activities. They're frustrated. They've lost their job, and they have lost their esteem. They have lost their motivation. What do you say to those subjects?
Richard, again, I always use this term, stay in the lane. And what I mean by staying in the lane is that we have to stay in our lane to seek the help that we need for our situation. And first and foremost, I believe that we have to start identifying professional help. In the Black community, the last thing we want to do is go see somebody, a psychiatrist, or some kind of, seeking help from a therapist or something like that. We have to do that. We have to seek the help of a professional that's going to tell us, or more or less diagnose in so many ways, what's going on, what's getting us depressed. Also, we have to have that friend. We have to have that friend that's around us that will communicate what you're going through and try to walk you through it. You know, and a lot of times too, Rich, I'm going to say this, Richard, and I'm sorry if I offend anybody. Stop listening to everybody else's problems.
Ooh.
Sometimes by the time you're finished listening to somebody else with a lot of issues going on, you walk away, you uplifted them, and now you're standing there going like, wow, oh man, you know? So it's good to give encouragement. You know, you give encouragement, but you can't absorb all of their issues on top of the ones you currently have yourself. So it's about seeking that professional therapy, which is needed, sharing that information with your real close friends, because you can't tell everybody everything. As soon as you tell somebody, hey, don't tell anybody, you look up on social media, it's probably there. But we have to identify those ways in which we can communicate and try to help people through their little issues. One thing that I use, Richard, in some of my workshops is called fear in a basket, fear in a basket, fear in a hat, whatever you want to call it. In doing that, if I have a group of individuals, what I usually do is have them write down any particular thing that's bothering them. I have them write that on a small piece of paper. Don't put your name on it. We don't want to know. We take that paper, we put it in a bag or a hat or whatever, we shake it up, and we pull from it. Whatever that particular thing is that may be scaring this person or making this person depressed or whatever, we'll read it out. Hypothetically, if somebody say, oh, wow, you know, I'm scared of flying. That would be the topic for the group. So what will happen in that group is that everybody get a chance to talk about why you should not be afraid to fly. So now we have this internal therapy going, the holistic side of internal therapy. Somebody may say, hey, man, I'm scared to go over to this side of Baltimore because I might get shot. Oh, you worry about getting shot? Well, how do you think about getting shot and going in this particular area? So we're able to holistically kind of like share the ideas, which in turn get to be therapeutic. So everybody that's in there may have that particular fear or may have that particular thing going on in their lives. However, they want to keep it inside. So this gives them the opportunity to share that and also hear the answers from people who may be going through the same thing and you don't even know. So don't be afraid to share your information with somebody that you can trust.
Wow. That's motivation in itself right there where you can do that. No question. I like the first thing you said about, you know, taking information from others and then you uplift them and then now you're slightly depressed or in a funk because you've taken on that burden. I know that you know in your workshops and your classes and your stories you've heard over time, what is some of the commonalities of when you're holding a workshop that you always constantly hear as obstacles or commonalities with our people per se?
Well, you know, the number one thing I hear most of the times is that, how can I change? Everybody's, man, I'm tired of doing the same thing all the time. We do the same thing all the time. And the uplifting thing that I give them is, what kind of change are you looking for? What is it that you enjoy doing that could possibly, well, first and foremost, what would you do for free? How can you be inspired? I mean, like I'm mentoring a lot of stuff that I do, to be honest with you, I don't even make money for it. I spend a lot getting places doing those things, but you don't get paid for it. Identify what it is that make you happy. If it means for you to go out and sit on your deck and look up at the sky, drink some Kool-Aid or whatever you're drinking and just chill, you know? So don't look at where you are, look at where you want to be. If you're stuck in that rut, and most people are right now, they have no clue what to do. So you start pulling straws. You pull these straws. You want to do this. You want to do that. You know, Richard, to be all honest with you, I never thought about hosting a podcast. I never thought about writing a book. I never thought about any of those things. However, I was in a position where I was, you know, I've been in IT for 30 something years. So I'm like, man, I can do this with my eyes closed. I need something that's going to motivate me and also be able to elevate me in so many different ways. So I went from trying to make sure that I had, quote unquote, all these things versus how can I change somebody else's life? Wow. So, I mean, you know, that rut is real, though. It's real. It's real. It's real.
That and since is why I'm having this month of folks like you and myself on here to help people cross over, make the little bit of change. So I don't expect monumental changes, but I do expect a little changes over conversation, but what you give nuggets and ideas for people to look at things differently, which I really like. I like the putting the thing in a hat. I really like that. I might work that in one of my workshops as well. And like you said earlier, a lot of this that we're doing now is free. I mean, I'm doing this show. This is free. My sponsors pay for my transmission, pretty much, the IT portion of this. And I just think it's important, though, because it makes me happy. And I think it's for me as well. And that's key, and is finding that happy place. Because once you find that happy place, other things, it starts spreading itself. You're like, oh, okay, I can do this. Like you said, you didn't set out to write a book. You didn't set out to do our podcast, but one led to another, right? So with all these different dynamics in our community, man, and I'd like to talk about our community, especially what just happened in Minnesota. I want to give your thoughts on if you had a bunch of youth at the workshop today and you sat in front of them and they saw this happen, transpire on TV, what do you say to them, man? How do you explain this nonsense and craziness, man?
You know, it's powerful. I get almost like emotional when I even think about it because my sons are at that age. I have a 31 and a 21-year-old son. They both drive. They're all over the place. They're doing all kinds of things. And not to say that they're perfect by no stretch of the imagination. However, why do we have to tell our young men how to act if they're stopped by the police? Why do we always have to give this speech about what to look out for? Don't do that. Don't put your hood on. Don't keep your hands in your pocket. Don't go near this lady that's walking through the parking lot with her purse, and all of a sudden she see you out the corner of her eyes. She's grabbing her purse. She's trying to get in her car and things like that. Why do we have to have a conversation? Now, I'm not asking you that as a question back, but those are the things that bother me. They bother me. So when you look at what happened out in Minnesota, not just this latest one, we're even talking about back to George Floyd. You look at the dynamics of the way that we are wasting valuable time, resources, and all those things when the media and technology has basically shown us what goes on, what transpires during these interactions. They're murdering our young men, flat out murdering these kids. Now, I hear people talking about, well, why did he run? He may have been, come on. He's afraid. He's 20-something years old. He's afraid. So what I'm trying to understand for the most part is our young men and our young older men, because I've been exposed to it as well. If I take this suit jacket off and put my sweatshirt on, my hoodie, and I go out with my cap on, people are going to look at me the same way. So we have to really identify from a higher perspective and understand that our votes are really what matter. So we're voting these politicians in on a regular basis, but they're not satisfying the needs of our communities. I hate to say it. I got some friends as politicians. That's the old cliche to say. I got friends as politicians, but we have to understand that we have to hold them accountable. You can't wait till things happen. We have to demand change. And we're at a point in this country right now, Richard, to where as though if we don't start demanding what we want, now I'm saying peacefully. However, for some reason, they only stand when we start to get destructive. But if I go back a little bit to, I believe, January the 6th, was that when that happened? Oh, okay. I thought I had the right date. There wasn't a National Guard found. There was nobody out, well, until later, nobody stopping anything. Nobody being arrested, going to jail until way later. However, when we get together and we march someplace, quote unquote, Minnesota, you look at that town last night, the last couple of nights, what's happening? They got National Guard. They're shooting tear gas. They're doing all of these things and nobody's saying anything. So I believe, Richard, just to sum it up in so many ways, we have to stop looking for people to do things for us. We need to start doing our own thing. However, I'm going to hit you with this one, brother. I'm sorry. A lot of us men get into this rut of this big thing that I call egos. Once you fall into that ego situation, now you're basically diminishing our motivation because everybody wants to be the boss. We all can't be the boss. And everybody's idea really is a good idea. But we have to identify how we can put these ideas together and make it work. You know, again, I sat behind the bars with the prison of these kids in jail. I sat there and listened to them. I watched them. I had a kid come into the system when they were like 14 years old. 14. He had tattoos all up and down his arm. I looked down, I'm thinking they're fake tattoos. I say, hey man, well, who's I said, do your mom know you having tattoos? He goes like, my mom's dead. I said, did your dad know you? My dad's in jail. I said, well, who's raising you? He said, my 18-year-old cousin. And I'm going to give you this one, Rick. One of the big things that I say, and I say it all the time, and I tell brothers this, I tell sisters this, I tell everybody this, because it's just what it is. You can't teach what you never learn. You cannot teach what you never learn. So we got to be motivated to teach our kids. We got to make sure that they understand that they have so much power. And what really bothers me too, Richard, is that we have to start teaching our history. Mm-hmm. If we don't teach our history, then how would our kids know where they came from? How would they know the stock that they built up? How would they know how many things that we contribute to this country? They don't know because we don't teach them. We're too busy worrying about Jordans, worrying about games, worrying about cars, worrying about all these materialistic things instead of putting something in the minds of these kids that's going to sharpen them enough to be productive citizens.
Man, you said a mouthful there, Ken. I'm telling you something, man. When you went on that first part of the conversation, I kept on resonating to a conversation I had about a year ago. And I said, my problem with America is, and the problem that we're having is you cannot overcome a person, a unit, a person, an entity that controls everything, i.e. What they did in Atlanta. See, the only reason why they get away with it because they have the system that they have where they have control mechanisms. Until we tear down that United States Constitution, go back and rewrite it and redo it and not make one more powerful than the other, and one more superior than the other, one more owner of other, because every office building we walk into, every major office building, every major corporation, major everything is owned and operated politically, everything by them. So therefore they control. Mm-hmm. Yes, we can argue, fight, and get some changes, but ownership is what it is. And quite frankly, America, they kind of own it. So if they own it, that means they control it. Mm-hmm. So, and just like I said, what happened in Atlanta after she did that yeoman's job down there of getting out the vote, and we made those changes, within 30 days, they had laws coming to change that because they're in control. And that's a diatribe I wanted to go on right quick. But
real quick, Rich, can I say something real quick about that?
Yep.
When you look at that, you look at the power that we obviously have. Mm-hmm. Okay, so if we got that power, we have the power to change things. So the way we change things is by getting together. You know, we got to stop spending our money with people that don't want to do anything for us. I don't care what it is. If you're not doing anything for me and there's no benefit to me spending my money there, I ain't spending it. I'm not going to do it. That's just me. But I think that collectively, if we understand the power of our money, you know this, we're the biggest consumers of everything in this country, and we don't manufacture nothing. True. Absolutely nothing.
True. This is
so we really need to support each other, no matter what it is.
Oh, I agree with you. And you know what? We're going to have another conversation on this subject. I see you're diverse in that as well. But my once again, I'm going to go back to my concept, and that's a perfect one here. And I'm going to get off this and go back to our subject, is that we did Black Week, buy Black Week, buy Black Month.
Mm-hmm.
But all I kept on saying, if I'm Mr. Smith, the white guy sitting outside the box, they're going to have to come see me eventually because they don't own one black gas station. They don't own one major grocery store. They don't own one major hotel chain. They don't want to bike. They don't even own one major bicycle shop. They don't own one major anything that we utilize. Yeah, we could do something every now and then for 5, 6 days, 7 days, or a short period of time. But eventually, they got to come see me. Mm-hmm. See, that's what I'm saying. That's the part I'm talking about. Until we get that sphere, we're going to be suppressed.
Depending on it.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll end up depending on it. And again, it's just, basically what I had tailed off on previous is that we have to identify our spending power. We have to identify who we're spending our money with.
Yep.
I'm just like anybody else, Richard. I go to the Walmarts, the Targets, and all those things, but you have to start digging deeper and finding out who are they supporting. Are they supporting any efforts in our communities? I don't want to go too far into this, but I will say that if you identify who the sources are in regards to what's keeping us down and what's suppressing us, that should be your target focus. Stop being afraid to buy from people that look like you. Give them a chance. I always say I'll give them a chance.
Yep.
Yep. And you can't go in with the thing to where as though he looked like me, so I'm gonna get a discount. You don't ask for a discount when you go to Walmart. You don't ask for a discount when you go to Target. You don't ask for a discount when you go up here to the Honda dealership. So why you want to do that person like that? Yep. First and foremost, for a fact, you're a businessman, that when you do something, you're going to do it from your heart, and you're going to do it the right way because they look like you.
That's right.
There you go.
That's right. So listen, we're going to get back. Sorry for the digress, people, but I think that was good information as well. So I was looking at your Facebook profile, and there was a statement that you said you had borrowed from a friend. No, you said, I think it was more like your statement. And I wanted to talk about this because I think this is what's going on now today. And this is why I think people need motivation. You said all progress takes place outside of the comfort zone. Mm-hmm. Please explain to our people. Mm-hmm. You got to get out the comfort zone.
I will. Again, I'm guilty of it. A lot of times we get into this thing that we're limited. We feel like we're limited in everything that we do. You say, well, so-and-so's doing this. I never went to school for that. I can't really do that. Or I don't have the money to do that. I probably could never do that. However, if you just stop, identify what it is you want to do. Look into the process. Look into the process of what it is that make you want to be motivated enough to elevate yourself and do it. That's the first thing. I haven't been through anything, Richard, that I was seriously comfortable with. I've never gotten to any place in my life where it didn't take some pain to get there. I've been fired off jobs, got laid off, all these things, and I kept on going. My last layoff prompted me to start my own business. So you gotta go through that pain. You gotta go through that fire. You gotta get out of that comfort zone to be able to reap the benefits of what it is that you want to do and make you happy.
Absolutely, man. That is what I'm talking about, guys. Hey, listen, we're talking about motivation in April. I call him Dr. Ken Waller, but he's Mr. Ken Waller on the line. And guys, listen, you can call in real quick. He's going to be leaving us shortly, about 10 minutes, 855-493-6499. If you'd like to ask him a question or make a comment so we can make a comment against your comment, that'd be great. But feel free to call in 855-493-6499, or you can make a comment and I can read the comment as well. We have some good people. Judy Hunt said, other people's baggage will kill you. I agree with you, Judy. I do. Find something that truly inspires you. That's what Denise is saying. Something that makes you happy is what she's saying as well. But guys, listen, you can call in at 855-493-6499. Dr. Ken is waiting for your call. So Ken, while we're waiting for a call, and hopefully we'll get a couple or so, Tell me a little bit about the inspiration behind the inspiration.
Well, the Behind the Inspiration podcast, Richard, was born out of my own personal story. I touched on it briefly. You know, I had a very serious illness that I was affected with back in 2019. And it caused me to reevaluate everything in my life totally. When I say totally. It was a situation where I was going to either live or die. So I had to really hone in on what was so important that God kept me around. And what I found out was that it's about being able to inspire other people. It was about being able to motivate other people. It was about being able to encourage people. So the podcast that I currently have, that I love doing, and just a real quick, you owe me one, so I'm expecting you to be on my podcast soon. So I'm putting that out there, everybody. Y'all heard that, right? But you know, I wanted to just like take everything that I've gone through and give a platform for people like myself. You know, matter of fact, on the show next week, I'll have a lady on who's a COVID-19 survivor, who was on a ventilator, who barely made it. You know, inspiring story. I talk with women in business, different women organizations. Matter of fact, one in particular is Women Elevating Women. In that particular group, you have females who are in corporate executives and things like that, who've actually started their own companies because of the things and the things they were going through. So Behind the Illustration podcast is one of those things, again, Rich, I just like to give people a platform that's going to give motivation, encourage people, and of course, inspire. I send a lot of messages out from my Facebook page every day, every other day that I can, to make sure that this thing is circulating. And it's just like anything else, just like COVID. And I'm sure you agree with this. You want our message to resonate all over the place. And it's about inspiration.
Absolutely, man. That is so true. I caught a couple before you joined the show last night and this morning. I listened to a couple of your podcasts, and I really enjoyed them. And that's basically what my show is trying to do. The same thing: encourage, uplift, motivate, inspire. And similar to you, my subjects are my monthly thing is about things that I'm thinking about, things I go through, things I've been through, things I think people don't talk about a lot. And this is the thing. One thing you said earlier, and I want to piggyback on that, because I think this is going to be a big movement moving forward, that we have to seek the help that we need. We can no longer wait until we're on our deathbed before we actually seek a doctor or psychiatrist or a therapist or whatever the case is. We have to go early. I don't know what it is with our people, especially more our males than anything else, how we just feel like we just can conquer everything and we can overcome it with a Band-Aid, which is a great word. We have to go and seek help and try to get things looked at more in detail. So what's the question? Another question I had here. You're also an author. Tell me a little bit about the book. I don't have it. I'm going to have to get it, but it sounds interesting.
It hasn't fully been published yet. We're still working on the transcript. However, the book is called Making It Clear. Making It Clear basically is almost like a somewhat memoir, self-help type of piece of material. What it does is it captures pretty much my childhood all the way to adulthood, even putting emphasis on, like you said, illnesses and not being able to take care of yourself properly and things of that nature. But, you know, that book was inspired to me when I lost my dad. Just a snapshot. I lost my dad. Well, my dad passed away back in 2002. And I was inspired to write this book because my father wasn't in my life. I grew up without a father. And if you want to hear that story, you can go to my website. It's called fatherhoodfocus.org. And go to that website. You'll be able to read a little more material on the reason why I do some of the things that I do. And, you know, just growing up in the environment that I grew up in, you know, we didn't have much. You know, I can't tell people that I went hungry. I can't tell you that I didn't have Christmas. I can't tell you any of those things. However, what I did was basically put a snapshot on my family values, and the things that were going on in my own family, and how that basically elevated itself again to another level was people being able to identify that they're not alone. That some of the same things that they go through, I've gone through. So you're not alone. Then you can take that and move up to another level by sharing that same information with somebody else. And just to go back to the juvenile detention center that I volunteered for, when you have something in common with those young men and women, they listen. They listen. So, you know, that's pretty much the premises of making it clear, is having an understanding, or trying to give people an understanding of how to make it through any challenges that you're being faced with.
Amen. That's what I'm talking about. Shanda Floyd says, also, we're also quick to say, I am good, but dying inside. It's okay to not to be okay, but it's not good to stay stuck.
I like that.
Oh, that was powerful there. Thank you, Shanda. Thank you so much. And that is so true. And I'm guilty of this too, man. I mean, I'm okay. You know,
we all do.
And I pop a Tylenol. You know, I should have maybe go see the doctor. I am just as guilty, man. And that's why I say this show is for me as well. It gives me food for thought that I might forgot about, or name it, some stuff I didn't even know. And nothing you said something that was powerful. And that's why I love my parents, man. My mother and father were very thoughtful and powerful people, very, very forward people, forward-thinking folks. And the one thing, as I got older, they sat me down, sat my brothers down, me and my oldest brother, my next oldest brother, I'm the oldest, and asked us questions, because they knew we were like guinea pigs. They didn't know. They were trying things on us. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example they tried with me, which I messed up for all my brothers. I can tell this story. So when I first went to college, because I went on a scholarship, they felt compelled that, you know, they'd do something. So they bought me a car. Of course, I screwed that up. So guess what? The next brother didn't get that because he got a scholarship too, right? But he didn't get a car. They waited till the second and third year to give him a car, because once again, they didn't know, but they were testing it. And, you know, going through the process because they didn't know. You know what I mean? They just didn't know what it was to be a parent in certain areas. They knew how to be a parent, but in certain areas they were testing. And I thought that was powerful when you said that. If you don't know something, how can you teach another person, another generation, if you don't know? I think that's powerful. I like what you're doing now with your youth, your young fathers. I see that commitment. I saw it on your website, went to the website, read that commitment. And I applaud you for trying to make a difference in our community, especially with our young men and young women, and just in general, but more importantly with the young men. So in closing, because I know you have to go, give everybody your information, and then give us a little closing, some inspiration for some folks out there that might need it.
Well, you can reach me at K Waller Speaks. You can Google K Waller Speaks. On Google or anywhere. I have a YouTube page. Also, you can reach me via any of the podcast platforms, Anchor, Spotify, Apple Pod. You can just reach me anywhere. Just type in K Waller Speaks, Behind the Inspiration Podcast. You'll find me there. Also, you can visit my website, which is fatherhoodfocus.org. That's fatherhoodfocus.org. And just a little parting message that I think is important for all of us to do is share that love, man. Just share that love. You know, love is what I consider being an equalizer. You know, we spend too much time looking down on somebody or looking at somebody like they're crazy. Look, I said this last week. Set out every day to do one good thing for somebody. One good thing for somebody. I don't care if it's the person behind you buying their coffee going through Dunkin' Donut line.
Ooh.
Just do one good thing for somebody.
Well, Ken, I want to personally thank you. You know, I'm at you. You ring my phone. You know I'm going to come speak for you.
I'm coming.
Hang out with you whenever it takes, man. I want to say thank you. I know you got to go. Thank you. Yes. God bless you. Audience, stay here. We're going to finish up. But thank you, Ken. Love you, man.
Hey, love you too, brother. Thank you so much for having me on.
Take care.
All right.
Absolutely. Bye-bye. So listen, ladies and gentlemen, as I say, I try to bring folks to the table that have some experience, have done some mentoring, some counseling, some catering to young, old, alike. This month, we are focusing on motivating and getting people moving from one place to another, getting people out of a funk, out of being stuck, and moving again The sun is coming out. The doors are beginning to open. We need to get ready mentally, physically, in every shape, form, and fashion. We can't be a step slow. We got to get moving. I got to get moving. We all have to get moving. It's so important that we do, again, get back to some kind of normalcy. Then will definitely be a different norm, but it will be a norm. So I'm asking everybody to stay tuned in for April. If you're looking for some powerful words, I got another person coming on next week, that's going to share some powerful notes as well. And we're just looking forward to just sharing those with you. I thank everybody who's joined on: Denise, Shanda, my mom, T, Tanya, Martina, Judy. Hey, Judy Hunt, how are you? Kate, Iska. Listen, Lisa, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Please share this with somebody, because I'm going to tell you something. I think this will be a blessing for somebody, especially somebody young, somebody that wants to change, somebody who wants to look at things a little differently and moving forward. I want to say thank you. I want to say God bless you. I want to say thank you for tuning in, and I look forward to seeing you next week. God bless. Take care. Strength, Courage, and Wisdom every Wednesday. 10 o'clock.
Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan.
Yep.
Strength, courage, and wisdom. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan. Strength, courage, and wisdom with a rich plan.
Hey, y'all. It's your boy, Rick McLaren, as you know it. Strength, Courage, and Wisdom every Wednesday. We are producing this show. We are on Facebook Live. We are on Mix Station Radio, Mix Station Live app.